Here we have the back surface of the first piece of the MWA banner rack. And you can see these streaks. These are cracks in the piece that I had filled with abundant amounts of epoxy. You can see here what I actually did was I routed out the cracks to give plenty of room for the epoxy, and then mixed up a big vat of it and just bathed it all over here. And this last one is a particularly big chunk of epoxy. You can kind of see right there in the weird lighting, because it was a rather large void and crack, and I don't want this thing pulling apart. As this is the back surface, I'm not overly concerned with it, but unfortunately I probably ended up mixing the epoxy at improper ratios, or it could have just been too old, though from what I hear that doesn't really happen. I'm not entirely sure what the problem was, but in either case, this 5-minute epoxy is now about 4 or 5 days old, and it's still tacky to the touch. I mean, it's pretty solid, but it's tacky to the touch. So I posted it on Twitter. I asked about what happens when 5-minute epoxy doesn't cure in 2 days, and got a whole host of useful things. And one of the suggestions I got was a heat lamp. So luckily, my bathroom dates back to the 70s, and I have a heat lamp that I've probably turned on for a total of 5 minutes in the last 5 years. So I took one of the bulbs out of that heat lamp, and here we are over this biggest chunk of the epoxy. I'm going to leave this on for a while, and we'll see if this helps. Hopefully it does. I will update you guys or make another video as soon as I know. After getting some less than kosher, I'm going to say Bernie smells out of the garage within a minute or so of setting the light up and shooting that last scene, I got slightly nervous, since I'm going to go back in the house for a little while. I don't plan on leaving it on overnight, but I do want to walk away from it for a minute. So I kind of moved it around, and now I have it set up out here in the garage. Not in the garage, out here in the driveway. And hopefully this will be much less likely to cause any real damage. I'm using the benchmark table and this nice little wire holder thing that the benchmark comes with. Keeps lots of cords and hoses and stuff out of the way, and it'll also hold a heat lamp in case you need one. I shut off the light because alas, it seems to be making the epoxy softer. If you come over here where it's not under the light, you really probably can't tell this in the video, but it's tacky but hard. Whereas you come over here where it was tacky but hard, you see the whole thing is smushy now. And it's not what I was going for. Not smushy. I want hard, like a rock, like Ukraine. So for now, I'm going to next try sunlight, so this may spend tomorrow outside. For now, we'll just leave it out here and hope it re-solidifies. Oh well. It's been about an hour and a half now since I took the light off of it, and hopefully you can see here, it is almost as hard as it was, so it seems to be returning to its hardness, thankfully. I'll be sure not to bake epoxy anytime soon. This could just be my frustration talking, but anecdotally it seems less tacky than it was before, but I don't know for sure. I think I'm going to give it some sunlight over the weekend, and hopefully those beautiful UV rays will just dry the damn thing out. Either way, I'll do something, even if I have to scrape it all out. We'll keep going with it. Final check-in on the state of the epoxy. This is now 2 days later, 2 days since the last scene. It has continued to harden, and it is now very hard. This is that big, thick section. I can push and push and push, and I don't distort it at all. But it is still tacky to the touch and almost feels greasy. So I'm not sure why it's staying tacky, and I'm reluctant to take sandpaper to it at this point because I think it's just going to gum the hell out of the sandpaper. Maybe get a better view from this angle. But at this point, it's going to have plenty of time to dry because this is where it stands. The back is completely undone. This is, you can kind of see the grain. This is rough sawn. This is exactly how I got it. I have epoxied the cracks. Take a second now and flip it over. Through the magic of video, you get to watch this as I hold the phone in my hand. And this is what the front looks like. So the front is much better. It's got this nice organic tree shape, which is what I liked about it in the first place. Slight tonal changes, which my shadows are screwing up here, but it looks good. A little pot marked. I think these effects are going to be kind of nice and natural on it. So anyway, this is kind of rounded and sanded to 80 grit. And that's where I'm going to leave it. I'm going to put it up in the attic now because it's taking up space. And unfortunately, as fun as it's been to work on this thing and as inspired as I am to finish making the rest of the rack, I got to get back to these walls. So that's it for now. We'll take the rack back up in a month or so when it comes time to have to make it. And hopefully soon I'll be able to walk in the shop again. So hope you guys have enjoyed this peek at the first bit of the rack. And I'll keep you updated once I get back to it.